Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm so happy to see you. Welcome back. It's Trish Carr with another episode of Be Real, Get Real with Women's Prosperity Network. And I am so happy you tuned in today. Even if you just found me rolling along the scroll, I am so glad because you are going to hear this fantastic story. So Women's Prosperity Network is about women coming together arm in arm to be the best that we can be so that with our products, our projects, and our services, we make a massive positive difference in the world. That's what we do. And because we come arm in arm, we show the world that we are powerful. We are women on the move. Women make up almost $3 trillion of this economy through their businesses. And you know what? They are amazing women. Every single one of them we can learn from. Every single one of them has been through it just like you have, sister. And they can share with you what they did to get past whatever it was that was stopping them, keeping them back, holding them on the glass ceiling, whatever it was. That's what we're here to learn. So I am thrilled to introduce you to one of my dearest friends, a woman I've known for probably 15 years, and she's extraordinary. She is a woman who empowers other. And you know how I feel about empowers, but she really brings it so that you can see the best of yourself. You can be the best of yourself. And she empowers people to step into their leadership, to maximize their impact, to inspire them to create workplaces and environments where people thrive. Whether it's developing a leadership skill or building a high performance team or fostering a culture at work and at play of innovation, Mary delivers tangible results that drive growth. Mary Palmer is passionate about supporting women leaders so they can break through barriers, achieve their career aspirations, and move to where they want to move. Mary Palmer, I am so happy to have you with me today.
Thank you, Trish. I am super excited, beyond delighted to be here. Thank you for such a nice intro.
Oh my gosh, well, that's just the tip of the iceberg because outside of that, she's an amazing woman. When I first met you, Mary, you had left corporate, right? And you were working Mary Kay, and you were so successful at it. And you were able to take the idea of co-opetition, where you work with the people who are your competitors instead of fighting them. Share a little bit about what you did to really engage the Mary Kay world with a different way of doing things.
Well, when I moved to Miami and came across Women's Prosperity Network, I met a woman that I had actually met the night before at the Mary Kay meeting. And she had been the one that greeted me. And she was at that Women's Prosperity Network event that I went to was the very first time. This is how consequential, by the way, this is like the real deal. It was so consequential going to the WPN event, a mastermind, that I met my future business partner that I'd actually met the night before, and just was delighted when somebody from across the room goes, hi, Mary. And I'm like, who's that lady? And it turned out to be my forever friend, and we still talk several times a week. And we were not in the same hierarchy. And we realized that we had a common interest, and that was working with women, filling their heads full of leadership ideas and supporting them, not just in how they looked, but in how they presented themselves and what they thought about themselves, not just on the outside, but what's going on up here and making money.
Making money.
That was the inspiration. And so what we did is we created a new model through the concept of co-opetition. And at the time, there was no situation or model as we intended. Basically, what we did is we invited women to come get makeovers, and then afterwards, after the sales, we showed them and told them about leadership principles. And we also got to the point to where some of the women that we invited were presenting for us after their makeovers, and they brought their Amazon best-selling books, and we just created a community, quite honestly,
Yes.
where we could all thrive and
Yes.
support each other, not just emotionally and spiritually, but in business.
Yeah. And now you show other people how there's right in plain sight opportunities to work with others in a co-opetition way so that you can all expand. So you've taken what you actually did and turned it into a model that people can use. So way to go, Mary. It's great. But you know, go ahead.
I said, it's been fun and I've learned a lot along the way. And one thing that I realized after working with you as well is that there is not a lot of support or a big mindset of embracing your competition.
Right.
And being friends and figuring out how to make money and documenting a way to stay friends and manage and account for the business.
Yes.
So that everybody wins.
Yeah. A lot of people want to do joint ventures, but there's the right way and the not so right way. So you definitely want to connect with Mary. In fact, let me tell you about that right now, because I want to make sure you do it. Mary is all about leading with grace. And I'm going to get into this because Mary comes out of an industry that was not, you would think, a leading with grace industry. When she was in corporate, she was in the oil business, working for a huge oil company. You all know them. You get gas there all the time. And Mary, it shocks me almost, because when I think of oil fields, and so my husband used to watch Dirty Jobs. And one of his favorite shows was when they were in the oil fields, because it was so much fun. So how do you go from working with a bunch of men in the oil fields to leading with grace? I mean, it just kind of is a dichotomy. You know, you don't think about leading with, I don't know. Help me with that. What's it like being in that man's environment, first of all?
It's a double-edged sword. Actually, I learned a lot from the men. And of course, there were supportive men. Of course, there were competitive men, not just in the office, but out in the field. And some of the things that I learned early on in my start of my career, because that wasn't the way it was originally. I came in as an accounting clerk without a degree, going to school at night and on weekends. And so I was gleaning what I could, and I had decided that I was going to be a success. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I just did. So I listened, I paid attention. Early on, I had a mentor that told me that no matter what position I had, whether I was coming in and emptying waste baskets at night, or whether I was halfway to my dream position in the company, that I should always be the best, do the best, and not in a competitive way. So that just kind of matches up with the co-opetition and the love of a Mary Kay business, because the leadership principles that I learned in Mary Kay, as well as all the education that I got going to school at night, as well as learning in the company, made a difference. And I am super grateful for all the belief that was given to me.
Mm-hmm. Did you start your Mary Kay part-time while you were working corporate, or you did it after?
I started it a month before I retired. I had a timeline of what I was going to do. I really didn't intend to make any real money. I just wanted, well, I wanted to make money, of course, but I didn't intend to just, jump in and go, go, go. No, that was not the idea. I wanted home office tax advantages.
Oh,
Being
smart woman.
being an accountant, I was like looking at the numbers, and of course, I want to pay my fair share of taxes. Like we need infrastructure and highways and water.
Right. I just don't want to pay more than I have to pay.
Right. Right.
That's
So I started my business about a month. I called and made an appointment and did it very businesslike, and just started getting my makeup for half price and tax advantages, and that was all I was looking for. But I ended up checking all the boxes, and getting the car, getting the cruise, becoming a sales rep, all of that. What I learned along the way from the mentors and colleagues I had really supported me. However, I remember early on asking one of my trainers, my mentors that was training me probably within the first year to 2 years, I said, why aren't there more women in the highest positions? Because there was only one that I could see at the time.
In the corporation you were at.
Right, right. And she said something that I did not accept, but I thought she might have believed most of it. And that concerned me. So I was like, really? A little cynical. Don Miguel Ruiz in the Fifth Agreement says, pay attention, discern what there is to learn, and be careful. Use your mind, use a little bit of analysis to find out whether something is really true. And I saw that there was not a lot of belief in women. Her answer to me was, getting back to the question, her answer to me is, when there are sufficient women that qualify in those positions, they will be assigned. They will be given those positions. And I was like, nope, not buying it. Even as young and naive as I was, because I was in my early 20s when that happened. So
she said, when more women are qualified, more women will have those jobs.
That's exactly right.
And at the time, the challenge for women to be qualified was the opportunity to move up, to continue to learn and be qualified. So it was like, oh, when more, I had this conversation with someone just last night. We were talking about diversity and inclusion. And he was saying, I believe in meritocracy. I said, how can you give someone on merit when they haven't had the opportunity to do the same things? He says, everybody has the same opportunity. And I said, well, that's because you're a white man. You believe that. You can never see the world another way than through your white man lens. So it's so interesting that that person told you that, because that's a belief. The belief is, well, the door's open, come on in. But if the people who aren't given that opportunity don't get the chance to demonstrate that opportunity, they will never move up. So I hear you. So when I think about the oil field, I think about the men and the dirt and all that stuff. But the company itself, listen, I worked for AT&T, Bell. It was Bell at the time. And I worked in customer service and sales, inside customer service and sales, and it was mostly women. So the opportunity for us to move up was inside of that structure. Probably the same for you. There were mostly women in accounting, and you could move up within that structure because women were given opportunity within those structures, but nowhere else to be able to move beyond. So I'm happy to say that's different now. I believe there are 6 female CEOs of Fortune 500s right now, which that's not enough, but that's okay. There's more. But you saw it. I saw it too. But despite that, I still had a good time in my job. I still enjoyed what I did. Yes, there was blatant misogyny and racism and all that stuff that still goes on today, but I was able to move up and do my thing, as did you. But I know that you got to go out into the field, and I'm dying to know what was that like, because I know that was something you enjoyed doing. So did you put on the hard hat? And did you go out to in the water oil fields, or where were you? What did you get to do?
Well, in order to be able to go out to the field, there was training that was provided, and there were absolute safety concerns because oil field is OSHA governed. And so there are certain requirements that must be considered. A hard hat, safety glasses, steel-toed shoes were a requirement. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. And so I moved around different positions because one of the things that I was told early on was that set your sight on your next assignment, whatever you want to do, learn a little bit about it, and make it known subtly. Don't go be saying, hey, I want to do this. Of course you can, but not over the top. You know what I mean? Right. So I decided that I wanted to go work and see what the oil field was like, the gas field. And when I did, I was even more in love with the business, because the oil and gas business, petrochemicals, are an ever-changing, dynamic, evolving business. Every day there is a new discovery, whether it's through technology or through the science or in communications, right? Because of everything that's coming. So what was so eye-opening was how some of the women out there were treated. So when I started going out, it was probably in the 90s. And we had not gotten to where we are today with how women are treated. And there weren't a lot of women out in the field, but there were enough. And the conversations that I had with a few of them was kind of asking them, what's it like? And they would indicate that at the time, it had gotten better, but it had been at some points awful. And they related to me some stories about not being able to get to the bathroom in the offices. And there's times when you just really do not want to go out behind the truck or a bush, and right? And so that was some of the issue. And the fact that women when you go out into the field, there are some people, some men that do not respect women. And that's what they wanted. They wanted to be respected and just treated like one of the other, like all women and all men should be treated, and that is equally. And so I learned a lot. And in some cases, I was told to go back and say things, to report things. And that was one of the things that I also dearly loved, and what made me, I think, a little bit more successful was that in order to truly work and build rapport with people that are in businesses that are not what you're in, it's important to develop good communication, rapport, trust, and that your word stands, and the integrity that goes with all of that. So I learned a lot about humans, and I learned a lot about myself.
I'll bet you did, woman. I'll bet you did. What an experience. So what propels you now, Mary, to share your leadership skills, to support other men and women in being the best they can be? What's propelling you now? You've had an amazing career at a huge company. You had a wonderful, successful career at Mary Kay, and you're still, that's the wonderful thing about it, isn't it? Once you started, it still pays you. So you're still working in that at some degree. And you have this leadership business where you show people how they can work together, how they can improve, how they can be the best selves. I know that you focus on one of my favorite lessons, which is the 4 agreements by Don Miguel. So what's propelling you to keep doing this, Mary?
A couple of things. One of them is I'm still not ready to sit in that rocking chair, just like when I retired. And there's so much work to do. There are so many women. My niche is women. So many women that do not know how wonderful and valuable and capable they are. For one reason or another, they've lost belief in themselves or aren't sure which way to go. And also the fact that there are so many opportunities available that we're not seeing. And I feel called to share those. And I get a lot of gratification from watching women succeed and
Yes.
knowing that I made a little bit of a difference.
Yes, we share that, my friend. And together, we're supporting those people who know there's something, but not really clear on how to get there. We're supporting women who are already strong in their power, know what they're doing, know where they're going, and understand that you never stop growing. Right? There's always the next thing to learn, the next thing to do, the next thing to see that you don't see right now. And so I'm so thrilled to be arm in arm with you to make a difference in this world, and especially in leadership, because as you said, as soon as you show up with your talent, we'll give you the work. Well, forget about that. You're going to get your talent and you're going to get the work yourself. That's what's going to happen. You're going to lead yourself like Mary led herself. That's, you got to do it. There's the only leader around here is you, me, right? So leading with grace is whether or not you're leading people directly or you're leading yourself and your family, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You're leading. So be sure to get Mary's essential steps for leading with grace and learn from a woman who had to lead with grace in an environment that was not necessarily conducive to her because of whatever reason, let's say. But look at where she came. She worked her way up. You started as a clerk and you ended up in a middle management position, right?
I did. And
you didn't have a college degree when you started, right?
No, actually, my first interview at this company, a quick story. They asked me to go for an interview. Well, that was in the day when you could walk into HR. And I did. I drove from San Antonio to Houston and stayed with a cousin and then just drove around, walking into HR offices, handing resumes, talking to the people, the gatekeepers. At this company, I actually walked in, handed my resume to the woman at the desk, and she looked at it and she says, "Well, we don't really have anything right now." And so I said, "Thank you." Walked out the door, walk into my car, and the HR manager is running after me saying, "Miss Aguilar," that was my name back then, Aguilar. "Miss Aguilar, wait, I want to talk to you." And I was like, "Really?" I was like, "Okay." He says, "Walk back with me to the office. We might have something for you, an interview for you tomorrow. Are you available tomorrow?" We're walking back to the office. And I said, "Yes, I am." And so the next day I came in to the office, went to an interview, and they offered me a job, told me about a job where I would be filing and doing very clerical duties. And so when I got back to my cousins, my cousin says, "They just called. They want to talk to you." She says, "I think they have an offer for you." And sure enough, they did it. I mean, it was back then, it was that instantaneous. And they offered me the job, and I said, I actually turned them down. I said, I'm sorry, that is just really pretty basic. And I'm interested in something, in doing something more. And I had not been coached. I was clueless about how business worked, but it was just so basic that I went, no. I'm like, a child could do this. No.
Yeah.
So they asked me to come back for another interview the next day. And so I did. And that's where I started off. That they're like, how about if we do this, and then you get to decide. I remember not exactly those words, but they did say something to that effect. If you want to add more, we'll give you all the work you want. And I went, okay.
That
And
is so
and
funny.
I learned that I can decide, and if there's something I want, of course I didn't always get what I want, that's for sure. But
Yeah, but
but
you didn't come from, this is the only job I'm ever going to get. I'm desperate to get work. I'm going to take this filing job. You didn't come from that. You came from, you know what? I'm better than that. I deserve more than that. That's not for me. That right there, Mary Palmer, at such a young age, is a wonderful characteristic to have, to know that you're worth more than what you're getting offered, despite the fact that you have to pay your rent. So way to go. And that still goes today. You know your worth. You know what you bring to the table. And because of that, you're an amazing leader and an amazing expert in showing other people how to lead the way with grace. So perfect. Everything that's happened to us up until now is the perfect thing because it put us where we are. And where you are, Mary, is a place where you're making a huge difference for other people. And I always say, as you're counting, at Women's Prosperity Network, as we're climbing the mountain of success, we're climbing all the way and we're getting cheered on by all of this community around us. But when we get to the top, we raise our hands in victory, and then we take one hand, reach out, and bring another woman with us. And that's what you do, Mary Palmer. So thank you for being the embodiment of what Women's Prosperity Network is about, what your business is about. You are truly walking the talk, and I appreciate you so much. Any last words before we go? I love everything you have shared. Anything last that I didn't pull out yet?
I think that it's important to remember one thing, is that we get to decide. We get to decide what our next step is going to be. There's this little thing called intuition, and that is a response from, no matter what your belief system is, God, universe, source, spirit, they are little messages of love, and there should be action, because I've decided, and as a lot of women in Women's Prosperity Network and around the world have decided, that those are gifts. We should act on those gifts because it is the way to freedom.
Woo-hoo, and that's a mic drop. Thank you so much, Mary. Thank you for being with us.
Thank
you all for being with us today. I hope you found this interesting, enlightening. I love hearing about people's backgrounds because it's all about who's the person behind the business. When I go to the grocery store, Jerry is bagging my groceries and Susan is at the cashier, and those are people I see all the time. So I don't think I'm going to Kroger or Winn-Dixie or Publix. I think I'm going to see Jerry, and he's going to pack my groceries. It's the same thing. We want to have people who have an affinity, who understand who we are as people. That's what Be Real, Get Real is all about. So Mary, thank you for being with us today. Thank you all for being with us today. And if you are a woman on the move, whether you're moving here and not sure where you're going yet, or you're moving out there and going where you want to go, or still not really sure, Women's Prosperity Network is for you. Go to the website. You can join for $1 and check us out. You will love this community of women who come together arm in arm so we can be the best we can be. So together we make a massive positive difference with our products, our projects, and our services. Thank you, Mary Palmer. Thank all of you for being with us today, and we'll see you next time on another episode of Be Real, Get Real with Women's Prosperity Network. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you, Trish.